Back when Starfield came out, I wanted to make a review about why I feel like Bethesda clearly missed the mark with this game. But I did play the new Shattered Space DLC, and again, I was very disappointed. So let me share my thoughts about this expansion. Because sadly, this is not what I expect from Bethesda, and it's just more of the same like the base game. I was hoping they will take more of the feedback into consideration regarding their story, writing, characters and quest design. But sadly, it didn't look great at all. I'ma tell you a little bit about the story without spoiling too much. Okay, so you arrive on a new planet and you already become some sort of chosen one within 5 minutes. But nobody trusts you until you complete a 10-minute trial that is, and then they suddenly all do. The main quest after the first dungeon is full of boring yapping with the same bad voice direction. The characters talk way too much without actually saying anything, and you just have to follow along and understand it even though you know nothing of this planet, its people and how things work around here. Because the characters just stand there talking without emotion and they ignore the classic rule of show don't tell. Because here they only tell without actually showing anything. So personally, I'm a big fan of Cyberpunk 2077. And say what you will about the game and how it launched, it's fair, but they eventually fixed it and the people saw how great the game was that was lying underneath it all. And I'll just show you the difference in how these two games handle it.
My apologies. Please, Malibor. Do go on.
Anasco Varun, like his father before him, has relied on the teachings of Jinan to guide us. Technology to hopefully make direct contact with the Great Serpent, similar to Jinan Varun's initial meeting.
And then something went wrong.
Pursue, sweet woman. Please remain calm.
Calm!
Roadblock ahead.
Okay, but let's talk a little bit about side quests, because the first side quest you stumble upon, and I kid you not, this is serious, is about two brothers bickering they want to kill each other because one stole their mother's urn while he was drunk. And yes, I am not joking, this is serious. And the solution and choice for this quest is giving you the option which drink you want to drug before they're going to duel and kill each other. You can drug one of them, neither, or both. If this is the first side quest they deliberately want to show you, I am not sure what to think anymore. What happened to Bethesda's writing? Holy fuck. Anyway, how did this get approved? Like, okay, please let me know in the comments down below if any one of you played this quest and thought this was great writing. Please, because I really want to know. Okay, but on to the main quest, because they definitely had some great missions and ideas in between, but it doesn't blend that well together. Because in my opinion, the missions you get from the houses are mostly boring, with again too much pointless talking and boring lore dumps. But then there are some great missions sprinkled in between. And I eventually got surprised a little bit, because the final mission from this DLC is quite cool, but then completely falls flat again in the end. It gets an anticlimactic ending where your choice doesn't matter at all and doesn't make sense at all. This again made me feel very mixed about this expansion, while I hope to feel excited after beating it. And the only thing I wonder after all of this is, where is the old Bethesda? I enjoyed Skyrim, Oblivion, Fallout 4, even though it was a little flawed. I enjoyed those games so much, like, you have no idea how Oblivion made me feel as a child while I played it. It definitely has its flaws, but overall it's such a great game. It grips you within the world and oh, it's so good. But Starfield, man. Anyway, I'll get to that point later. I'm going off script. So the DLC is also very short, because you can beat it in a couple of hours and it doesn't add much besides these new quests. There are almost no new weapons, armor sets. I heard some people saying there are new companions, but I didn't find them. No new gameplay features, no new ship parts, etc. When you ask 30 euros or dollars for an expansion, I do expect way more content than this. Or it would have been a better idea to price this expansion about like 15 euros or $1. Now let's compare it again to Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty. Phantom Liberty, in my opinion, is really good and you get so much content for the same price. But it's an entirely different game. But what I used to love about Bethesda Game Studios isn't here anymore. It isn't in Fallout 76, it isn't in Starfield, it isn't in this expansion. For the last couple of years, I didn't experience it at all from them. You have to understand, Elder Scrolls is my favorite franchise of all time. I usually cover Baldur's Gate 3 on this channel, but my biggest love is from Bethesda Game Studios. It's Oblivion and Skyrim. I used to discover the world and discover these great stories, locations and side quests. And it just isn't Elder Scrolls, because I felt the same in Fallout 3 and even in Fallout 4, even though it was a little flawed. But I'm just afraid Bethesda lost their magic, and I'm afraid for Elder Scrolls 6. Because it isn't just the planets that you explore that feel empty, right? Because there is handcrafted content in Starfield, but it doesn't feel the same. This planet is also handcrafted, but exploring it feels boring, pointless, and it doesn't ignite that spark of discovery that you used to have in Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim, Fallout 3, Fallout 4. It's gone. This handcrafted planet just feels like an empty, barren area just serving as a long travel to get to my next pointless destination, with no fun or interesting landmarks to discover in between. And like I said, I'm not trying to hate on this game. My favorite games come from this studio. I wanted Starfield to be good. I wanted this expansion to be good. I want Elder Scrolls 6 to be good. But I'm afraid it isn't going to be. I'm afraid Bethesda lost their magic. And there are some things they have improved in general, but somehow still not enough. The game and some characters do look better overall, but the random citizens in the big cities do look weird and ugly. Performance has improved in some areas, but still the frames dip heavily in some other areas. The car is a nice addition to the game if it didn't feel slow, clunky and get stuck very easily. And I was afraid because maybe I just lost touch with the games of Bethesda Game Studios. But then I boot up Skyrim again and I feel that magic. With the next gen patch from Fallout 4 I reinstalled it again and I was like, I didn't lose my touch. Fallout 4, even though it has its flaws, is great. I love it. And then I come back to Starfield and it just, you know? So overall, Starfield and especially this expansion, it isn't really bad, right? It isn't dog shit. But we're used to something different from Bethesda Game Studios back in their older titles. And Starfield and this DLC doesn't capture it at all. Well, generally Fallout 4 was heavily loved. People did feel like there was a decline coming for Bethesda. But then the Far Harbor expansion showed up and it's everything we hoped for it to be. It was great, it had choice, consequence, it had great dialogue, great characters, great writing. It was so incredibly good in my opinion. And you know what's really funny? Far Harbor is cheaper than this expansion, because it used to release for 25 euros or dollars. And most of all, it added a lot of new great content, a lot of new weapons, armors, but especially a separate new island that felt really good to explore. And your choice in this main quest really mattered. Far Harbor really improved from the base game of Fallout 4. You can definitely see Bethesda listened to their fans and improved a lot in this expansion. And I really think many people were hoping for a Far Harbor-like DLC for Starfield. Because it was going to be one location again, where everything was handcrafted. Something we used to love dearly from Bethesda. But it still missed the mark in the Shattered Space DLC. But say what you want about Starfield, but it did try something new with the planet. Eventually it was just too many loading screens and too many empty boring planets to explore. But it did have some of excuse because of course with 1000 planets many would have to be random generated, right? But Shattered Space doesn't have that excuse anymore because it's one big location, but it still falls flat. And we also used to give an excuse for Fallout 76, because it was also something different, right? It's online. But where do the excuses stop and when do we accept that Bethesda just has changed? I guess you can give one last final excuse, that Starfield tried something different. But for many people this was their last chance. But for the people that do want to give another chance, Elder Scrolls 6 have no excuses anymore. It's called Elder Scrolls. It's their most beloved IP. It's not online, it's not a different IP, it's a single player experience we all want from Bethesda. But many people are afraid it isn't going to be what they hope it will be. They're afraid it isn't going to give that same experience as Morrowind, as Oblivion, as Skyrim. And I'm afraid for that as well. My most beloved IP, I just want Elder Scrolls 6 to be good, just like their previous games, their old games. And maybe some people from Bethesda will watch this and think I'm very rude towards the games. But again, for the third time, you used to make my favorite game of all time. I want your games to be good. A lot of people want your games to be good again. Please make Elder Scrolls 6 great again. It sounds like I'm Trump for America, but no, we really want Elder Scrolls 6, your next game, to be good, like the previous games you used to make. And the magic is still there. Why do you think so many people still play Skyrim? 13 years after its release. Currently more people play Skyrim more than Starfield. You can start a new save and experience what made those games so great. And I just hope Elder Scrolls 6 will be great. But I am afraid. But please let me know what you guys think. Did you enjoy Starfield? Did you enjoy this expansion? And are you hopeful for Elder Scrolls 6 or are you also afraid? Please share it with me in the comments down below, because I do read them all. Sorry for my rambling in this video, but thank you if you made it this far. And if you want to see more like this, or, you know, subscribe. And like this stupid video if you agree with my thoughts, or, you know, dislike it if you don't agree. But do share it with me in the comments down below what you guys think, because I'm really curious where you guys stand on this. Anyway, thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you next time.